Hello and welcome to the Random Access Show. I'm Wwdc, and in today's episode I'll be talking all about what was released at Apple's Wwdc conference this year. And there's lots to get through, so sit tight and enjoy. I'm Wwdc and you're listening to the Random Access Show. Hello and welcome to the Random Access Show. I'm Wwdc, and today we're going to be talking all about what Apple released at their WWDC conference. Now, I did an episode on this last year, except on last year's conference, and that was a pretty good one. So I'm hoping this year's going to be the same. Look, this year they had a little bit different stuff, but it should be, it's going to be a little less exciting than last year when they had the Far Out event, but yeah, it was pretty good. They had some interesting features, and of course, I reckon you would have heard by now of the first thing I'm talking about, the first product that they released, the Apple Vision Pro, which I'll talk about in just a few seconds. But first, I just want to let people know what the WWDC is. It's the Worldwide Developers Conference, and it's usually focused a bit more on developers. So this year, that did not really follow. Look, it's always a bit mixed, right? It's never fully for developers. You know, you get some of the new products coming out. We've seen some of the new operating systems come out: iOS 17, macOS 14, watchOS 10, new improvements to Apple TV, new M2 chips. So there's a lot. There's a lot coming out. But yeah, look. It wasn't as good as what we saw last year in some of their conferences, from what I reckon. But it's up to you to decide now, I reckon. So let's start with the Vision Pro. It's what you've seen all over the news. It's what you've seen all over your Facebooks and your Instagrams, and it's what you've seen all over the internet, I reckon. It's the Apple Vision Pro. It's a mixed reality headset, which means it's virtual reality and augmented reality. If you don't know what the difference between those two are, you do a quick Google search for it, but basically virtual reality is when you are fully immersed in another virtual so-called world, whereas augmented reality is something like Pokemon Go, where you're using the world around you and augmenting and adding stuff to it. So, yeah, that's launching early next year, according to Apple. Dual M2 and R1 chip setup is what they've got in it. And finally, you can measure the resolution that you've got in each eye, 4K resolution. Right? I've always wanted to know what the resolution of our eyes are. You know, how many pixels we can see, how high definition it is. But yeah, you're going to be able to see up to 4K resolution in each eye. And there are no controllers. It uses all hand tracking and voice input tracking. There is an external battery pack that you connect to the headset with a cord. Maybe you just want to chuck it in your pocket, with a 2-hour battery life, which is not too much, I don't reckon, for a headset like this. But it's probably going to improve in the future. And it's beginning at 5,300 Aussie dollars. 5,300 Aussie. That's a lot for a virtual reality headset. I reckon that's a lot. Yeah. But look, if people are willing to spend it, I reckon Apple's willing to make it. And it runs on what they've called Vision OS. So, look, I'm not going to do a whole in-depth episode on it, but I will go a bit more in-depth on it now. It's got 2 micro OLED displays. The pixel definition, there are more pixels than a 4K TV in each eye. So, it's got around 23 million pixels each, approximately. If you want a prescription lens insert, it's going to cost you more, according to Apple. And yeah, we'll track your hand and eye movements as well as your voice input with 12 cameras, 5 sensors, 6 microphones. So there's a lot of tracking going on here, physical tracking, as we move into the mixed reality world and all this sort of stuff. It's going to be a bit similar to the what did Meta call theirs, the Quest. Back when it was the Oculus Quest, I remember that. But yeah, now it's the Meta Quest. It's going to be a bit similar to that, but they've got an interesting feature. Only available in AR mode, there's this feature called Eyesight, where the eyes aren't completely hidden, but instead, if I'm looking at you and you're wearing the headset, I can see your eyes, or actually it's more like a camera view of your eyes. So it's like a sunglasses sort of thing, where you can see into the other person's eyes. And look, they're most likely not going to be looking at you. They might not. I'm assuming they're not going to be able to look at you or see you, but they're going to be in their own AR world, and you're going to be looking at their eyes. Which, that whole thing sounds a bit creepy to me. But, yeah, look, people are going to get excited over this, I reckon. Yeah, people are, like, all over the internet, people really love this idea of this, virtual mixed reality headset thing, right? I don't see the whole big thing over it, right? But, if it's for you, then it's for you. When you're in VR mode, people will just see a cloud of color. So, it's only available in AR mode for now. But we'll see. It might be available in VR mode in the future. I don't know why it's only available in that AR mode. But, yeah, look, Ask Apple, I suppose. Ask Apple, that would be a good name for, like, one of their frequently asked questions. Ask Apple, like a forum sort of thing. It's a good name. I wonder if it exists. And there's also a 3D camera which will let the user shoot videos that they'll be able to share with other Vision Pro users. So that's all about the Vision Pro. I'm sure you can find more articles on that online, more stuff about that. But I don't want to go too far in depth into it because it's not. To be honest with you, it's not for me. I'm not into this whole VR AR thing. I've tried it, even VR gaming. It's not my thing. I don't know. I don't see why people love it so much. It might just be me. I might put a question up on the Spotify thing. See how many people actually like VR and how many people would rather play a game on their computer instead. We're going to talk about the MacBook Air 15-inch for a few seconds. There's not too much to talk about, but it's been finally released. A lot of speculation about a 15-inch MacBook Air, and it's finally been released. Powered by the M2, still no M3 version yet. And it arrives on the 13th of June. So what day is it today? 11th. So 13th of June, I'm assuming that's US dates, so it might arrive a bit later here. So a few days' time in the US, and a bit later maybe in Australia. But I will talk about macOS 14, which they've named Sonoma, not like the bakery, but just Sonoma. I don't know why. It gives you the ability to mount widgets directly to your desktop instead of in a dedicated panel, which I want to see that in Windows. I hate that widgets thing on the Windows 11 when you go onto the side or left hand side and it opens up the widgets. I used to hate that when I was on Windows 11. Now I still hate that thing the bottom with the weather widgets and stuff and the news. I don't like that. I like to be able to I used to use an app called Rainmeter, where you could have like CPU widgets and stuff, track your CPU performance and all that, track your hardware performance. But it was very customizable. It did take up quite a bit of RAM usage, but when I get my desktop, hopefully that's going to come back. But yeah, I used to like having the widgets on my computer, on my desktop. I have them a lot on my iPhone, but not so much on my desktop because I don't like how they work. So macOS will change the whole scape in terms of widgets and hopefully make it a lot better. So you can now have the widgets on your desktop instead of in that weird dedicated panel. They have now a game mode. So if you're a gamer, you're skeptic of using macOS, right? I was at one point thinking of getting a MacBook, which if you're one of my friends, you're gonna know that I absolutely hate MacBooks. But I was thinking of getting a MacBook at one point because my favorite part of it is the UI. I really, really, really like the UI of a macOS. But it's not as practical as Windows is, unfortunately. And hopefully this game mode might change it for gamers. So it's going to optimize your gaming performance, give you better FPS. I mean, as soon as a gamer hears better FPS, it's like this straight away they're going to it. Did you know RGB gives you better FPS? How many times have you seen that on the internet? Less latency and better performance, so better persistent performance. And it will work with any game. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Safari in macOS 14 has now, the private mode now blocks URL trackers entirely, and passkeys have been introduced with end-to-end encryption. So passkeys, I'm still not 100. Like, I've seen a few videos trying to explain what passkeys are. I'm still not 100% sure of what they are or how they work. So I'd be the wrong person to ask on that. But Apple, and there's this whole thing. It's the alternative to passwords, and I think they're gonna start rolling out pretty soon, or they have. But I think they're gonna start taking over instead of passwords pretty soon as well. Which I see nothing wrong with a password. Sure, the occasional guy gets hacked every now and then, but I love a good password. It's so much easier to log in than whatever this passkey thing is going to be. Log in with a QR code on your phone or something. That's what I saw in the video. So, look, who knows, but I'm not into passkeys from what I can tell. And profiles finally introduced to Safari. That is one of my favorite features of Chromium browsers. Profiles, right? Chromium does it the best. When I tried moving to Firefox, they had profiles, but I couldn't do it. I didn't like it. It wasn't as smooth as Chromium browsers are. You open up the browser, it tells you which profile do you want to choose, and then that's it. That's it. It's so easy, and I really, really like that. It's still available, in all Chromium browsers, not just Chrome either. Web apps are now coming. And they'll be available directly on your dock, so they'll look like a normal app on your dock. I use web apps. Actually in web app shortcuts in Windows. You grab your Chromium browser, and then you open up a website and you save it as a web app. I use it. I like it. I like that feature, right? I'll use it for apps like YouTube, websites like YouTube that don't have a dedicated app, but you want a separate thing, a separate window. I don't know. I think they're just smooth and slick. I like them. But yeah, that's all for macOS 14 Sonoma. And it will only be available on M1 Max or M2 Max. From what I can tell, so available on Apple Silicon Macs, I'm pretty sure. We'll go on to iOS 17 now. 16. I'm stuck in last year. But I'll have to be stuck on iOS 16 actually, because iOS 17 is only supported by the iPhone XS and above. So I'll give you some of the features, right? A lot of them are to do with the ringing and dialing people. So contact posters. So what that is basically when someone rings you up, you get their little profile picture in the on the call screen. But now there's the whole screen will be taken up by a contact poster, is what they're calling it. So basically it's a whole image, and it will say it will say the person's name in fancy font and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. Go look it up, contact posters, and you'll see a few cool images of what the contact poster is. Live voicemail now lets you view. So it lets you view all the awaiting messages on the screen, lets you play all your messages or delete them, and a transcript is now available in voicemail. So transcript allows you to speak to the caller before they even finish the message. So you'll see the transcript if you're interested in what they're saying. Then you can pick up, just like in the old times when you had the landlines, you could pick up while they were still giving their messages. Now you can do that too with this thing. Even so, now you can see if you want to answer them, you look at your transcript. AirDrop has a new feature called Name Drop, which is when you hold two phones close to each other and you just share a contact card. So if I want to share someone's phone number to someone else, I'll put my phone close to theirs like an NFC, and it's like a new functionality added to AirDrop. Speaking of AirDrop, there is now no need to stay within range of the person's phone that you're airdropping something to for media files. So long as you've got an internet connection, a steady internet connection, AirDrop, once you're near them and you start airdropping, you can now move away as far away as you want, as long as you've got an internet connection that you're connected to, which is pretty cool. Sometimes it gets annoying if you're airdropping something and you have to be next to in close proximity of the person that you're airdropping the file to. So this is going to be a pretty cool added functionality. I don't use airdrop that much. I use it a little bit, when you're sharing big files, but I don't use it that much. But I really like it, if that makes any sense. I really like it, but I don't use it that much. But I think Samsung and Android need to really work on an airdrop alternative for Androids. Or Apple can open up the airdrop standard to Android, and then that would be a lot better even. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. There are apps actually on Android where you can add airdrop functionality, but they're not going to work as well as if you had an Apple, if you had an iPhone. But whatever. Look, that's not the biggest problem between iPhone and Android. There are a lot bigger issues that they need to fix first between cross compatibility. But we'll see. It might come to Android soon enough, hopefully. If we now go on to there is better autocorrect, apparently, according to Apple. Apple has had a bad run with autocorrect. They have. Remember their old, or I don't remember, but I've heard a lot of horror stories about the old Newton PDA, where the autocorrect, the handwriting recognition was absolutely atrocious. Apple has not had a good run with it, but hopefully, they're fixing it. Autocorrect with this new update. There's a new app called Standby, which brings smart display to your iPhone, so you can use your iPhone as a smart display. I don't know why you'd want to, but Apple seems to think like it was a feature that people really wanted, so they introduced it into iOS 17. And there is now no longer any need to say "Hey Siri." Instead, you can just say "Siri." People are so lazy. I've spoken about this before, and I'm included. But what is the difference between saying "Hey Siri" and Siri? What is the difference? One word. That's just stupid. That's just stupid to me. Look, I'm not going to go on a rant about this now, but I reckon it's really stupid. The M2 Ultra is the last chip in the M2 series, which powers the new Mac Studio and the Mac Pro. It's supposedly 20% better performance than the M1 Ultra, 30% better GPU performance, and 40% better neural engine performance. So, look, could be alright, but there is a downside to it. Maximum of 192GB memory support, as opposed to on the Intel Mac Pro 1.5TB max. So that is a big caveat they've got there, and they really need to fix that up. It's something that they really need to look at fixing up. And WatchOS 10 has come out. So if you're using an Apple Watch, last year there were main focuses on running, but this year there's main focuses on cycling and hiking. So some cool features for the hiking. There is now elevation on the compass for hiking. You can see your elevation. Waypoints as well to show you where the best phone signal is. What? That is look, that's another stupid update. I mean, it could be useful for hikers. I don't know. I'm not a hiker. I know someone that is, but I'm not a big hiker. So, look, it could be useful if you need to see where the best phone signal is. But isn't the whole point of hiking to be out in nature and just, forget about your phone? Whatever, Apple doesn't want that to happen. But, look. And you can see topographical terrain maps in the US only right now. However. And finally, Apple TV. Now lets you use FaceTime on the TV. That's pretty cool. Last week when we were talking about the free TV, the telly, they have Zoom integration, and now Zoom and WebEx will eventually also be available. But when you're using FaceTime, you have to be connected to the iPhone or an iPad and there will be just gesture controls for motion emojis, which I don't know exactly what that means, like emojis that move. We don't know. Look, Apple is not very good with the details. And you can now use your iPhone to locate a missing Siri remote. So, look. Minor features, but they're pretty cool. Especially the FaceTime on the TV. Obviously, actually, you're going to need to have a camera in your TV. But, look. They're pretty cool. Now it's time for the quick stuff though, and last week we spoke about Netflix's bringing their password sharing restrictions to Australia, and now it's worked out well for them. 100,000 new subscribers between May 26th and May 27th, which is 2 to 3 days after restrictions came out in the US, UK, and Australia. So obviously it's worked. Netflix is actually pretty smart with this, right? I didn't think that they were going to get that many people. I thought people would find a workaround or something. I don't know, but it's worked. Surprisingly, they've got more subscribers, and maybe that's what's going to save them. It's a 102% increase on normal daily sign-ups, which is a figure that is higher than it was in the pandemic. That's all for the news today. That's all. I am going to remind you though that we do have the voice messages feature available. So again, if you have anything that you want to tell me, any concerns that you want to share, a news story that you've heard of, whatever it is, if I've asked a question and you want to answer it, whatever, I don't care. It could be anything. Send me a voice message on the Anchor page, which I'll have linked in the description. That's the homepage. Some of you might be already listening on the Anchor page. So send me through a voice message. Also, make sure to check out our website, which will be linked in the description, and our YouTube channel. But that's all for today. I'm Leon Panopoulos, and you're tuned in to the Red Max's Show. Have a great long weekend.